Hi guys, this is Mike here. Lived in Taiwan for 10 years. I just want to talk to you about some pros and cons about living in Taiwan. And this is by no means like a really exhaustive list, but I just kind of, on a whim, I decided that, I might as well. A lot of people here are pretty happy, like foreigners and whatnot. Like I was talking to some dude, and I don't know if he's going to listen to this or not, but he's just kind of in a small town doing his own thing. People don't really pressure him to do stuff. And, I guess every time that somebody asks him to do like some type of task that has to remotely do with English, he's really glad to do that. I don't know if he speaks Chinese or not, and if you're listening to this dude, yeah, that's cool. If you do, then more power to you. Most don't. And yeah, you could just like do whatever you want. But, in my opinion, there's also the emotional disconnection, right? So you might find yourself after 10, 15 or whatever years, maybe even like 5 years, thinking like, you know what? I miss the way that they used to make ice cream or pizza back home, or, I miss. I got a friend of mine who went over to Canada for I guess somebody's wedding or something like that, and he said that the personal space and just the amount of space that they give you and the population density it's just so. The population density is low, so the personal space is really big, and I was walking around like the subway, Taipei subway. Yesterday, and a bunch of people that just shoulder check me, never say sorry, whatever it is, and it's like they're not looking where they're going. And I'm he says, yeah, now I see why like you're like that about people just smacking into you or whatever it is, because like in Canada there's just such a huge space, right? So you might really get this kind of emotional, I don't know, I guess you feel like you miss the stuff from back home. You probably don't miss like when people say in Taiwan, everybody's gonna like body check you or whatever. Probably in the subway, they don't care. It's probably changed now in Canada about people say sorry, or people are like super polite in Canada, because I haven't been back for a while. But everything's changed since 2019 and 2021. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So you might miss the stuff from back home, and I kind of guess like that's just the way that it is, right? There's no replacement for home, anyways. And especially like the language and stuff. Another pro about Taiwan, it's like the only place in Asia I know that you can, you could probably have like some type of permanent residency in, say, like the Philippines or Thailand or whatever. Especially in Thailand, there's a lot of people that do that, but they're kicking a lot of people out because they're like going there and they're doing their permanent residency or whatever, and they're like not really contributing to society. And I don't know necessarily if that there should be like some type of like standard or something, like you need to do this or you need to do that, blah blah blah, right? But I kind of get the feeling that in Thailand they don't leave you alone. They still want you to kind of follow some type of rules and stuff like that. There's like some type of rule, like in Thailand you can't step on the king's money or something like that. And I'm not criticizing Thailand. That's cool. If you do your thing, that's all right. But if I was to step on some dollars or something over in Taiwan, like nobody would care. And it's not the issue of the money, guys, because your money's your money, right, of your whatever place that you're living in. It's the issue of that somebody's gonna like come out and berate you for, hey, don't do that. And I don't like that. So yeah, you can stay here with like a permanent residency if you want to. Obviously, language barrier is a big issue. But if you're like in a small town, maybe like everybody knows you for like the past 10 years or whatever it is. So, like, oh yeah, there's that dude who doesn't speak Chinese. And, I'm not trying to make fun of you, but, if things like going to the barber, going to the doctor become like or like look at this picture or, use my phone, I think that you should probably try to learn the language a little bit more. I'm not bragging, because I can, at least go to the doctor by myself, do things that I want to. I really value my independence and freedom, and I think caveat of not being able to speak the language is the fact that you got to rely on somebody to do things. And some people say, well, I don't care, right? But yeah, okay, so then you can't move anywhere. You can't. If I told you to go to the south or the north of Taiwan like tomorrow, where you don't know anybody, you'd just be like, well, I don't really want to do that. So, there's kind of an emotional disconnection between people because you don't have the language skills freedom to be yourself. Like, you're not boxed in by local expectations. Like, especially if like you're a foreigner here, you can express your identity and style and philosophy. Nobody really judges you. They just say, oh yeah, that's that crazy foreigner. And then you just do whatever you want, right? I mean, maybe they might judge you based on your clothes, but at the end of the day, they'll just say, okay, well, you can do whatever you want. Social isolation. I know that a lot of people, they kind of don't take this seriously, because you do, as a foreigner, especially like if you're not Asian, you're going to get like lots of attention. But at the same time, what type of attention is it? It's a kind of it happens also in Japan too, where they're just kind of like looking at you, and maybe some of them might come up to you, say hi, speak in English, but then after that, they're not going to make any permanent connection with you, especially if it's in the north of Taiwan. Maybe they might do that if you live, like I said, you stay in the same place for like 10 years over in some mountain town, and that's cool, right? But you're going to have that social isolation, especially if you want to, you work 1 year here, then you move, and you want to get a better job and stuff like that. I heard somebody say that you don't really come to Taiwan if you want to be rich. I get that. I mean, with the exception of if you want to make some type of local business. And even that too, if I said that I wanted to start my own local tutoring business or whatever, I have to kind of ingrain myself in the culture, get people to trust me. I was thinking about making a class where they can pass there's actually a high school examination for Canada. And, they have test centers in Taipei and Kaohsiung. So, getting people to go pass those examinations is kind of really niche too. And also you got to find people that say, okay, I want to pass the high school examination test in Canada. And that's kind of few and far between, right? So you can make your own business, you could express yourself, but, you got to get the people to trust you. So that's kind of another probably con in a way. There's a cultural ceiling, so how much you can understand or be understood. No matter what, you're always going to be the foreigner. You're not going to be really accepted in the culture and the society unless you try really, really hard to assimilate yourself. Maybe if you could speak Taiwan language, not Mandarin, but Taiwan language, it might even be even better for you. I haven't tried it, but I know a couple words in Taiwan language. But if you got to really try really hard to get people to let you come into this society. It's different. I've heard that in places like Brazil, where there's people that all look different, but they all speak the same Portuguese language or whatever it is. Maybe they might accept you a little bit more. I'm not really sure because I've never been there, but going to places where they're more accepting of you. I did talk to somebody about how when they went to the States, when I guess they're from Taiwan, and they went to the States, and nobody was really open and said hey, come here, come do this, and blah blah blah, whatever. But I can kind of get that about the States because you don't know who you're dealing with. A lot of people, there's a little bit of paranoia there. I mean, obviously because you don't know who is going to hurt you or not, and I think that's probably whatever. I mean, the States is another story, right? So, but you can. Yeah, I mean, Taiwan's okay for that. Nobody. I'm not going to say nobody's going to invite you to go do things, but you're going to have to get yourself into a small group, and then they'll definitely. I mean, I got invited to some things my buddy invited me over to something over in Jai or something, and I was okay, yeah, but then it's donkey years far. It's super super far, but. Which kind of leads me to my next point, which is a little bit counterintuitive, but Taiwan is, safe and convenient. I think that's probably another reason why a lot of people stay here is because it's safe and it's convenient, because no matter what, there's going to be some convenience store in any town that you go to. So even if you say, okay, well, I'm going to go, 2 cities down, whatever it is, you can always count on hotels, convenience stores, and it's all the same, right? And obviously language is the same. But I would say probably almost in any place in Taiwan, you're pretty safe. You don't have to worry about getting hurt, getting bothered, blah, 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 right? Integration is a different issue. But Yeah, it's safe and convenient. So if you want to come here because of that, then you can. I used to have a funny friend. He was like a physicist, so he was really logical. He'd say stuff like, there's an Egyptian curse that says like, may you live in interesting times. And I'm not saying that Taiwan is not interesting, but there's not anything going on here that's like, we have the World Festival of blah, blah, blah. And even if they do, I mean, most people don't know that they have that here. You're not going to get an Olympics here anytime soon or anything like that. If they did, the country would absolutely explode. But, it is what it is, right? Cultural ceiling, limited influence. You can create, teach, share ideas, but you may never be seen as a cultural contributor in the same way as a local would, right? So, you can have your own little school. I know somebody over in Taipei who has his own little school, which has his own, like, he doesn't franchise it or anything like that because he's afraid that nobody's going to do it the way that he does, and they're going to maybe drag his name through the mud. I don't know. But, those are some of the things that you could do. But it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can make your own school, but you're not. I mean, there's some people who are successful, like doing something outside of that. There's that pizza place. I don't know if you guys know which one I'm talking about, but there's some foreign guy and like he made his own like pizza and pizza franchise, and you can maybe I don't know. That's kind of not outside of my expertise, so I probably wouldn't do that. It's weird, right? Because you can, I guess, make your own business and maybe franchise your own business, but you're gonna have to get some local people to kind of like stabilize the idea that this is not a fly-by-night operation, because in Taiwan, guys, I mean, you probably know already that trust is like a really big thing. You got to get people to trust you, and if you don't, then basically nothing goes in Taiwan, right? They have respect for teachers. You make yourself into some type of like teacher persona. I used to work at this school where there's like some lady, and she was like kind of doing the whole like I'm a Disney princess thing, and that's great, that's cool. I probably wouldn't be able to pull it off to be like some Disney prince, and I don't really want to. I don't really care, but it's kind of a niche that you can have, especially if you're teaching young learners and stuff. But you can make yourself into this teaching persona where like you're kind of the go-to person. Maybe your pronunciation is really good. Maybe you're really good with teaching like kindergartens or something. And yeah, they have respect for teachers. You can find kind of stable work like that, especially if you're kind of like living in a small town. And that was kind of my idea that I had for a long time, is to go ahead and live in a small town, but because it's hard for them to replace you. I would say it's hard for them because like nobody really wants to go to a small town after if you're a university graduate, like you don't want to go to like some small town that has like under like 100,000 or 200,000 people. You want to go someplace where there's like loud music, a bunch of bars, a lot of people that you can like hang out with, even if it is still Taiwan where people like won't kind of like give you their phone number or anything like right away. But anyways, guys, those are some pros and cons. I'm obviously going to get into it with some people where some people say, well, I agree, I don't agree. One thing that I've kind of seen about in Taiwan is that if people can speak English, then they can definitely try to argue with you about like some certain things where like they'll say, well, you don't exactly have that right, and maybe I do, maybe I don't, but my opinion is my opinion. So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.